Because your energetic essence is what it's what your gifts, your soul gifts are. And that means that if you are able in your material reality to leverage those soul gifts, your energetic blueprint, it's much easier to create wealth and abundance, because you are congruent to who you are energetically, to your origin, to your own source. Okay.
Hey community, welcome to Speak Up, Light Up. As you know, here you can meet industry celebrities, successful entrepreneurs, thought leaders from all over the world who are sharing their transformational stories, speaking up the truth about their path to success, as well as share lots of different tools and strategies for self-discovery and creating your own reality. I'm your host, Valerie Persetio, and today I'm very excited about the topic that we're going to dive deeper in, because if you know me for a while, you know my passion for spirituality, personal development, as well as entrepreneurship. And today I have an amazing guest who is going to bring to this world together the world of material and the world of spirituality and the power of unseen. So we're going to talk about how to really align your soul with your business and to make it profitable, and actually to evaluate if your business is your asset or actually a liability, and it's time to let go. The conversations about energy, Akashic records, the ancient wisdom, very mysterious episode. Are you ready? Excited? Let's go. So let me introduce our fabulous guest who is tuning in from UK. It's Dr. Marina Bruni, founder of Fast Track Legal. Is an international business lawyer and advisor with over 2 decades of experience working in high finance, advising big international firms, multinational corporations, and Tier 1 investment banks worldwide. She had an early start of career with the UN in New York City when still in law school, and she is also a master of Akashic records, particularly for business, and energetic DNA activation. She's not your typical lawyer, and I can confirm it. She's a business law, and energetics is her language. And this language we are going to uncover today. And Dr. Marina's mission is helping you protect your business legally and energetically so you can make it profitable. Dr. Marina, probably many of you know her from the movie How Thoughts Become Things, and she is also a speaker. You can meet her in big stages alongside with Sharon Lecter, Jack Canfield, Les Brown, and many other famous people in our personal development field. Grab a cup of, I don't know, maybe cappuccino, any kind of coffee and chocolate. And we start our episode. Hi, Marina.
Hi, Valerie. Thank you so much for your kind introduction, and thank you for having me. I'm so excited. This is going to be so much fun.
Yes, I mentioned at the beginning the chocolate and coffee, because I don't know where you are guys tuning in from, watching this episode. Here in Europe it's super cold. It's snowy. It's winter.
Oh yes, I do love chocolate, hot chocolate. I mean, actually, my favorite drink is organic cacao powder with a little bit of coconut and raw honey, and that's my guilty pleasure. Yes.
Nice. So grabbing something warm, something nice. I would like to start our conversation from sharing your story, because I'm very excited. You said that you never shared this publicly, how you began your journey with the unseen, with spirituality, but how you were particularly able to connect Akashic records and business.
Yes, and law. Yes.
And law.
Absolutely, yes. So that's right. So this is a sort of premiere. You got the, I mean, I'm having the privilege and the honor of sharing this with you and your audience. And so it's I mean, the beginning of my story is not really glamorous, because I've always been the weird kid in the room, always, since I was a very little child, and always had this big imagination, and I always kind of daydreaming, being in my own world. And I was not cool at all when I was in school. I mean, I was not one of those popular girls at all.
How many
As I,
can relate with that?
as I said, I've always been the weird kid in the room. And I started to realize that I had something that some people would call special when I was a kid, because I remember that there were occasions when my mom would organize things with friends and families and things like that. And I didn't really want to do them. I mean, for example, there was, okay, you know what? Tomorrow so and so will come over for dinner, and then you can play with their kids and blah blah blah. And I was like, no, I don't want that. I don't want them. I don't want to see them. I don't want them to come to my house. Of course, the reaction that I used to have from my mom was like, seriously? Well, you better behave. And I was like, I don't want that. And as sure as you know, what happened is, like, just before they were to come, even might have been the same day or the day before, they will call it cancel because something happened. And I'm like,
wow.
That's cool. And then again, another similar episode. And I mean, I was about 7 years old or 8 years old, not older than that. So it took me a while to put the dots together, also because, I mean, you have to understand that I come from a family that is very sort of traditional academic background, where rationality and logic are kings.
Yes.
So I could not even think about talking about these things. And even now, this is not the typical subject that I will discuss with them, because I know that it's not well perceived. And so, and I had a series of this event when they were organized some stuff, some events that I did, or people to meeting people that I wasn't really ecstatic about meeting them. And just like that, they canceled, like, at the last minute. And so I started playing with it because I realized, okay, that's cool. And then I was, what if it's not a coincidence? What if there is something more to it? And this is also interesting because a lot of big teachers, I know that the one of the main teachings out there is that when you manifest, you have to manifest in the positive, because you cannot manifest in the negative. But my experience is just the opposite, because I realized that I could do that, and in a very powerful way. Manifesting the negative, I mean, the positive effect of what I did not want. And so I started playing with that. Of course, never talked about that with anyone back then, because I mean, that would not, I mean, oh my God, what's that? That's a big taboo. But I realized that I could play with it. And so I started playing at that very young age. And also I realized that I could really see through people. So it took me like a few seconds to realize whether the person I had in front of me was somebody I wanted to deepen the relationship, or someone that would be trouble. And I said, okay, you know what? I'm seeing already what's gonna happen. I'm not stupid, so let me take a step back here. And so, and for all my life, as I said, since I was a kid, because this started very, very early, 7, 8, I was 7, 8 years old, that I can remember. So probably, so unconsciously, I'm sure that I started even before then, but that was the age when I started putting things together, putting the dots together, and realized that, okay, this is really cool. Let me play with that. And so I started playing consciously with that. And of course, I kept it as my secret weapon, my little secret. But I never, ever thought that I could make something out of it. I never thought that I could even talk to people about that back then. So I've always used that on the side, and then I went on with my life. I went to school, I went to law school, I became a lawyer, and I became my career in law. Of course, always leveraging this big asset, because it is an asset, absolutely. And I started playing around with, myself, my career, and then I started studying also neuroscience and how the brain works and neurolinguistics. But there always was something in me that I wanted to merge these two parts, the rational part and the more, how can I call it, the magical part, the unseen part, the spiritual part. But I didn't know how to do it because, as I said, it was still early stages, and I didn't know how to do it. Also because in the legal world, in the corporate world, again, it's very much you can't talk about these things, and if you want to be perceived seriously with authority, you really need to be on that traditional path, on the traditional track. So it took me a while to start unraveling all those thoughts and feelings and get my head around it and start to bring that up to people. But then at the end, I finally found a way of merging two of them, because the thing is, we are not this or that or that or that. We are all around beings, and there is not just one aspect of us. We manifest ourselves, we express ourselves in different things, and the magic happens when you combine and blend all the different aspects of yourself. Not only that, but when you accept them as a whole and embrace them and embody as your second nature. As your true nature. And so basically that's how the combination between energetics, law, and business was born. I really wanted to merge all this work, because they are like me. There are other people that are like in between, on the edge, are attracted a little bit on that side, but they don't really know how to figure out everything all together. And most of the time, always comes down to how we've been brought up, how we've been educated, how we've been programmed. And so in order to start unprogramming yourself, in order to start undoing what you've been imprinted with, and really start following your path, because, and I know that some people will not like what I'm about to say, but the thing is that most of the things that we think, and most of the things that we think are right and we think we like, they're not really the thing that we like, but they're the thing that we thought that we should like. We are the thing that we think we should like, but those are not really the thing that we like. Those are not really the thing that we want to do. And most of all, and most of the time, the person that we see in the mirror when we are in front of the mirror is the person that we think we should be, but it's not the person that we really want to be.
Well, absolutely. I love what you said. And it's so true, because sometimes we follow this path or scenarios, programs, call it as you want, that is imprinted maybe by our families, traditions, society, telling that if you want to be accepted, if you want to fit in this community, in this particular country, be able to achieve something, whether it's wealth, status, whatever, you should be this and this and that, as you mentioned. But the point is that wealth, starts from how you feel. It's your amount of happiness. And when I see a lot of people are frustrated, and I have clients who are saying, okay, I have so much wealth, but I'm still looking for my worth, kind of, not really coming together. And you're starting to dig deeper, and you understand that you are following not really your program. And I think because I'm not so much aware about the Akashic records, but maybe that's where it comes to, in terms of what is it exactly? What is this soul records, and how it affects our current life, how it affects our current well-being, our business, basically everything, our reality.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do understand that that it might be a bit confusing because there's a lot of information out there, and as you know, not all information that's out there is correct.
Yeah.
So, but okay, let me try to simplify it, and I'm gonna really simplify it. So take it with the lenses of a simplification so that everybody can understand. So basically, the Akashic record is all around us. It is the ether. And what it is, think of it like an energetic database. So it's an energetic database. Of course, it's not physical. It's not like you can log into a computer like in Google and you get into the Akashic record. No, it's something that you tune in energetically. So it's in another dimension. It's not physical. So it's not a 3D, something 3D. Okay. And it's the record of all the experiences, all the lives of all souls forever, since the beginning of the times. So what is that the Akashic records? Everything. Every single choice that each and every one of us have made in their life, every experience, everything, absolutely everything. Now, who can really access the Akashic records? Pretty much everyone. But of course, here too, like in every industry, there is ethical behavior and unethical behavior. So of course, I'm not gonna go, and this is one of the principles I really stand behind. I will never ever go and access anyone's soul record unless I have permission from that person. And also, just in order to give some comfort to everybody who is listening, and even if somebody did try to access your own soul record in the Akashic records, if your soul doesn't want that person to have access to your records, your soul at soul level can deny the access. And in that way, it's like whoever tries to access that information gets sort of rejected. It's like a bouncing wall. Okay. So from this perspective, is secure. It's more secure than a vault. So how can we use the wisdom of the Akashic record? How can that help us? It helps us because at least the way there are different ways to access the record, and there are different ways to use the information that you access in the records. The way I do it is that I go back. Well, first of all, I go looking through the energetic essence of the given client, for example, and based on that, we extract that, because your energetic essence is what your gifts, your soul gifts are. And that means that if you are able in your material reality to leverage those soul gifts, your energetic blueprint, it's much easier to create wealth and abundance because you are congruent to who you are energetically, to your origin, to your own source. Okay, so that's the very first thing. And then the second step is that when you start tapping into the story of the various lifetimes of the soul, you start seeing that there is a pattern of choices, negative pattern of choices. And then you understand why you find yourself in situations that you don't even know how you ended up in those situations, because probably most of the cases, most of the times, you made choices in previous lifetime and now you're still living those consequences because you were not able, or you just didn't unravel and break that negative pattern. So we go look at what those choices were and why you made those choices. Okay, so, and now what can you do in order to break that pattern and consolidate a new path, a new journey that is more congruent to who you are, and that frees even more vital force energy, and also breaks those energetic blocks, dissolves those energetic blocks, which also is also sped up by some energetic clearing that I normally do. But that's very, very simplified, in very simplified terms, but that's the core of how really accessing this wisdom can really help your life, your business, you making new choices, better choice for yourself.
Well, I think sometimes you can, like, it's very fascinating because you see sometimes people, no matter what kind of service or product they produce, they always sold out. They have a community that is like naturally want, and I saw it with my own eyes. It's like, oh, when your product's coming out, and they just like ready to throw all their credit cards at you because they feel like, you feel the congruence, as you mentioned, the alignment between this person and what he or she like gives to people, the value it comes from inside. And sometimes you see entrepreneurs who have been struggling, like they may be having much more experience, but you know, they still cannot make it, or even if they make it, they like pay with different kind of resources, for example with health or with their relationships. And that's why I very often have this kind of limiting belief: if you are rich, you are probably unhappy, or you have broken relationships, or like whatever. But this is, I think, mostly because people don't aware about all the laws behind. And
but also it also depends on how and why you became rich. I mean, does that come from the connection with your soul, with yourself? So are you connected really with your true nature, or you just became rich because of greed, because of wanting to accumulate so much money, and so you focus everything on that? Because like in everything, there are different aspects. I mean, there is also, I mean, dark and light are the two sides of the same coin, honestly. So it depends when you are in where you are on that range. And let's not forget that being wealthy is different to being filthy rich. They're two very different concepts. And you can be rich, you can be super rich, filthy rich, and still being broken. Completely. So it's always, with me, it's always the holistic approach, because the holistic approach is the only one that makes sense. We are whole beings. We are not like we're not like parts, we're not like facades, we are not like we may step up into a role, into a mask here and there in order to fulfill a given task, but we are holistic beings, so we cannot operate in silos. If we do that, it's not gonna work. At some point something's gonna go south, some parts of our lives is gonna they're gonna crumble, something is gonna snap in there, because that's not our nature.
Yeah. So how one should start building at least this alignment within, the alignment with the soul, to start listening this guidance? Because as you mentioned also at the beginning, we all have this, like it is in our nature. Just some people chose this path to be more like rational and denying this part of yourself, and the psychology will say, yeah, I'm accepting this part of myself. I don't want to accept this part, so I push it to sometimes in subconsciousness, sometimes it goes even deeper in unconsciousness. That's why we used to sometimes judge people, look at them like, oh, they are not the same. But we are all kind of made up from the same kind of stars, let's say. Call it whatever you want to call it. But how really people in nowadays modern life should start really listening to their own wisdom?
First of all, they have to be open to the idea, because if you're not even open to prepare to the possibility that there is something else, that there is something beyond rationality and logic, beyond what you can see and touch and feel, if you're not even open to that idea, there's no way that you're gonna get into that, you're gonna get attuned to that. Because the thing is, we have free will. And I know that most of the time, most people, they say, oh, well, I'm asking God, I'm asking source, I'm asking the universe, universe will give me this or that, or didn't give me this and that. And this is not about religion. I want to say this just up front. It's not about religion. I always talk about God, but for me is the entity. Is, you can call it God, source, universe, Allah, whatever you want. It's not about religion. Consciousness, greater consciousness. I mean, you got the concept. So, but at the end, that source, that God, that consciousness that created us has created us with free will. We are sovereign, which means that wherever we choose for ourselves, wherever we choose to create in our reality, nobody can have an impact on that, positive or negative, unless we let them. And so when people are, and there are often times that I have this conversation with multiple people, and when they tell me, oh yeah, but this was so and so fault, and this was because of that, this was not my choice. Well, that's wrong. It was your choice, because you let that happen. You let that person influence you. You let that situation go in that way. You didn't do anything. Well, that's a choice too.
That's so important message.
And that's fundamental, because it's about stepping into our responsibility. It's about stepping into our power. If we don't make that first step, I mean, you can write all the affirmation in the world, and you can do all the woo-hoo magic, whatever, meditation, anything. But if you don't step into that, you can keep dreaming.
Yeah, that's so true. Because I think this is like initial thing, that to believe in your own power, that you have this power to create this reality. Because we used to think that somebody impacted us, the situation affects our life, but in reality it's we who have this power to create this reality. And as you said, it is a choice to do nothing about this and just allow things happen to us, or take responsibility.
Absolutely. And if I may just chime in for a tweak, and that is true that external event may affect us. That is true. They may come in, they do come into our lives, because the entire process, the entire creation process is a co-creation process, meaning us interacting with others. Okay. So there is no way to deny that. I'm not denying that. But what I'm saying is, how do you interact with that external event?
Yeah.
How do you receive it? How do you respond to that? What do you do? Do you do something? Do you do anything? Or you just get into that victim modality?
Yeah.
And so everything happens to you. So, okay, you know, this happened, and now, and now they did that to me, or that happened to me.
That's true.
So it's all about as I said, being open to another possibility, to another perspective, and do something about it. Do something.
Well, it's a lot also about the self-awareness. If you're just sleeping and not living, you cannot really make these choices sometimes. Or you don't have enough energy. You are not in the state of being consciously making this choice, as simple as it is. You know, in this podcast, we talk a lot about business, different business departments, let's call it this way. It can be marketing, finances, operations, and systems. But let's also bring focus to business profitability, but from your angle.
Expertise. There is always this thing that the big majority of business owners, aspiring business owners, entrepreneurs always overlook, and it is building solid foundations, solid legal foundations, and having a legal strategy. And the thing is that most of people, as I said, they are in denial. They just overlook, or just they blindly, if they have money, if they blindly hire a lawyer and they delegate everything to the lawyer, and just they don't wanna hear about that. They don't wanna know about it because the lawyer is dealing with that. As I said, first thing is taking responsibility of what is that you want to create, and that's your business. It's not your lawyer business. So you need to understand what is that you need from a legal perspective in order to protect your business. And this is another myth that I want to demystify. Even from a perspective of legal setup, there is not one size fits all, because every business is different. And there is a legal strategy as the same way as there is a marketing strategy and there is a business strategy, and so on and so forth. And your legal strategy needs to be part of your business plan if you really want to grow a solid and prosperous business. And of course, you start with foundations. And why is this important in respect of the profitability? Because the thing is, and this is, and I've seen this in over 20 years of career with almost pretty much the majority of all of my clients, because what they do is that they come to the lawyer when they've already a problem. So which means that they didn't prevent that problem from happening. And that causes you spend much more money than you would have if you had built solid foundations from the beginning. Way more money. And some of those issues, some of those damages are not even fixable at a later stage, because let's not forget that as entrepreneurs, as business owners, there is the one thing that is very dangerous for us, and that's the reputational damage. Once you got the reputational damage, once your business your brand is stained with a reputational damage, that's it, because that's the perception that is being imprinted in the audience, in the market. So to recover from that takes really long time and a lot of effort and a lot of money, energy, and everything. And sometimes when the damage is enormous, you can't even recover from. And we've seen in the past, I mean, we've seen businesses, even big businesses, going down the rabbit hole because they had overlooked at that. And so that's really the first pillar, and you really need to think about, and you need to understand what is that you need. You need to understand how to talk to a lawyer. You need to understand what you need, because not all lawyers are equal. So there are good lawyers and there are bad lawyers. So it's like every industry. So you need to know you need to be confident that the professionals that you hire are fit for you, are competent, they have the right expertise, and most of all, that they understand your business and what is that you really need to, in order for your business to prosper. And there is no other way to do that educate yourself to have, so that you can have a conversation with your lawyer. You can understand what you need and why you need that.
Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, including myself, sometimes we do neglect this part. And for now, I mean, maybe there can be lots of reasons. Now, during this conversation, I feel like there can be two main of them. First is that entrepreneurs are so busy with like branding strategies and sales and customer service and all these things that they really don't pay enough attention to the legal part. From the other side, it's also when you are not maybe fully ready to be, I cannot say serious, but take responsibility for your business. It's like, yeah, I'm kind of building something, like I'm just did like a step, you know, like, you know, you want to swim, like you see this ocean and you feel like, oh no, it's cold, so I'm like staying here. I love to watch it, to enjoy it, but I don't want to go and dive deep. So you're like trying to build this up, but you do not really invest enough efforts in building up the foundations, because you're not sure if you're going to continue, if you want to have this responsibility. And sometimes I see a lot of business kind of build up on just hype. So it's like one day businesses, let's make profit, close, make profit, close. So I think that's how you also can connect. If you're really building out of like a big vision, it's congruent with your whatever life purpose, call it this way, or it's just, I don't know, any other reasons, so to say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's a good point, a very good point. And that's exactly how often happens. And that's exactly why I have decided to invest more on myself, to give more to a potential client on the educational side. Because to me now, what's important is that educating entrepreneurs, potential entrepreneur, aspiring business owner, giving them a legal education. Of course, I don't want them to become lawyers, it's not that, but it's practical legal education, let's call it that way, so that they start understanding all the implication of that. And they start understanding that the legal side is as important, if not more important, than the marketing side, business strategy side, and all other side that you, in order to build and keep a solid business and maintain a solid business, because otherwise you keep bleeding money, whether you realize it or not. Because the money that you are not the time that you're not investing now in trying to understand how you can protect your business. Not only how you can protect your business, but what is that can harm your business. And it's a changing world, because with online business things, I mean, the online world has taken things to another different level. And sometimes we do things that we don't even realize that can harm our business. For example, what we post on social media, how we comment on other people's posts. I mean, everything builds up into your image, your brand, your business image. So it's not just about a tick the box exercise. Okay, you know what? Give me that policy. I can just append it to my website and I'm done. No, it's much more than that. So it's about really shifting your perspective, see things in a different way, in order for you to embrace that holistic approach, in order for you to really have and start building a business that can really be prosperous and solid. And that's why it's also, I have created a free masterclass so that people can start getting familiar with these concepts and what they really need to look at. Because let's not forget, and I mean, often I see this on social media, and I mean, social media, sometimes we really need to, we really need to start to look at what we see on social media with more, how can I say, more groundedness, more, I don't know, more rationality, more logic, more reality. Get real with it, because all this explosion of overnight success, my business account going through the roof, and this and that, every overnight success, any overnight success, it's never ever an overnight success, because it's always the result of years and years of hard work, getting the education, getting the expertise, getting the collaborators, and trial and error, always.
Absolutely.
And when it's not gonna last, because the foundations are not there.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think that's a great point, because a lot of people who, for example, live in the illusion that, oh, now I have to jump in this industry, or look, I just read that she or he made 300K like in 5 days. I need to try this approach. But you don't need to forget that this is an advertisement that you are in. But when you are in, and telling from the experience of paying enormous amount of money to study different, like, businesses in different industries, this is just like, a scratch of the surface, because there is so much work should be done. There are so many people who are behind the scenes, and like, ask these people, how many people do you have to be able to produce this money? And how it's protected legally, what is the formation, what is the taxation, and then this goes up. It's never like you said, I will now invest €5 and tomorrow I will become a millionaire. It's not about that. So it's great to bring this up. And I think nowadays, when somebody, especially nowadays, with all the economic situation, when people are listening to this, it's time to reevaluate. Where do you invest your time? Where do you invest your resources? How can you recalibrate? And we'll leave the link in the description box to the free masterclass. I think it's very important to start really educating yourself. As you said, not just put everything on the head of your lawyer, not to put everything on the head of any person that you are hiring, because you are creator of your own reality. You are a boss of your own business. And you first should be aware what you are building. So thank you very much, Marina, for sharing lots of wisdom, knowledge, bring lots of insights. And I would like to invite our listeners, our viewers, to comment what was valuable for them, what was insightful for them. At the end, I always ask my guests to envision themselves as creators. You mentioned we are all creators, we are all made from the same thing. So, as Marina creator, how would you like to light up today people who are watching and listening us?
I love that question. Yes, we are the powerful creators of our own reality. And the way we create is through choice. Through choice. So the more consciously we do that, the better. And choice means not just a mental decision, but means implementing in practical steps what you decide on a mental level that you want to do. And so in order for you to do that, in order for us to do that authentically and in a way that is true to ourselves, it's important, especially in nowadays where we're all bombarded with overload of information from all over the place, including our families and friends and all people that are around us. But let's not forget that you are responsible for creating your own reality the way you want it. So especially when you feel like you are all bombarded with information and everybody tells you what they think that you should do, and everybody start judging you, everybody start trying to talk you out of stuff or talking to other things, take a moment and pause and switch off everything and anything that you need to switch off, and just be with yourself still and try to connect with the real you, the you that maybe you are scared of, or you are maybe ashamed of, or you don't know who that is, and start that process so that when you try and articulate what you want and what you want to create, it is really something that you really want. You, the real you, the authentic you, the true you, not the you that you think that you should be, and not the things that you think that you should want, or you think that you should have or create because of somebody else's expectations. So don't make that be the standard, but you be your own standard. Create your own standard. Create your own rules. And yeah, there is only one way to do that. Connect with your true self. I'm not saying that is easy, especially if you are at the beginning of the process, because it's not. It will require an effort, but it is a straightforward process. It's a linear process. It's simple as that. It's, does that resonate with me? Is that what I really want? And at the beginning, you might be changing your mind, because guess what? You don't know what is that, what your true you is, and you don't know what you really want, because you never wanted that. You never allowed yourself to go into that place. So take a step back, pause, and go into that place.
That's a beautiful message, and I think this is the also foundation. We're talking about the business foundation today. This is the foundation for your personal well-being, personal happiness, personal wealth, is starting to making decisions based on who you truly are. So I hope this episode for add value to your daily life, to your business, to your success. Please like, comment, share with your friends, people who you feel like need to hear this today. And thank you, Marina, for being part of this conversation one more time.
My absolute pleasure, Valerie, and thank you for having me.
And as always, I'm reminding you, don't forget to take care about yourself. It's time to speak up, light up, and create your own reality. See you in the next episode.